Oh, hi. I'm Robert Moody. I'm the music director of the Portland Symphony Orchestra, and you are here with me right now, virtually, at 50 Monument Square. Welcome to our 93rd season. I'm Robert Moody, I'm the music director, and I'm excited to share with you these online insights to tell you all about the great music coming up this year. Hi everybody, I'm Robert Moody. I'm the music director of the Portland Symphony Orchestra, and I'm so excited to talk to you now about our Sunday classical concert on Sunday, October 27th of 2017. This concert, well, I've been thinking about how to appropriately honor a key figure focused upon in this concert for a number of years now. You see, one of the greatest musicians of the 20th century, one of the most impactful musicians of the 20th century, will turn 100 would have turned 100 on August 25th, 2018. So we have now begun in the 17-18 season to celebrate that great musician. This musician who was renowned as one of the greatest of all conductors, the first great American conductor, phenomenal composer, phenomenal pianist, tremendous educator. By now you might know that I'm talking about the great Leonard Bernstein. Leonard Bernstein had more impact on music and young musicians and young lovers of music than just about anybody, and we know this through his teaching, his conducting, and certainly his compositions. He will forever be loved for West Side Story, for Candide, but he also wrote 3 phenomenal symphonies, and we decided to honor Bernstein with the playing of one of those great symphonies, his first symphony, which has the nickname Jeremiah. So the Jeremiah Symphony of Bernstein is based upon, well, the prophet Jeremiah. And if you know anything from Sunday school days, Jeremiah was the weeping prophet, the sad prophet. He wrote Lamentations, a great worry about the state of the soul and the state of the world. And this is really the text that takes on this symphony. It's for orchestra and one soloist. We have a great soloist with us, a great friend of mine. Her name is Stephanie Foley-Davis, tremendous alto contralto voice, and she will be the soloist in the symphony. Since we have that sort of biblical take, I thought this might be a fantastic time to introduce the audience to another work that I've fallen in love with recently. I think everyone who knows me knows that one of my closest friends is the composer Mason Bates. I'm so proud of Mason Bates. His first opera, based upon the life of Steve Jobs, was premiered at Santa Fe Opera this past summer. Mason wrote about 10 years ago a choral work for the great choral group Chanticleer. And this entire work is called Sirens. One movement of Sirens is called the Book of Matthew. And the text is the story of when Jesus sees fishermen casting their nets and they're catching no fish, and then he says, cast on the other side, and they catch all sorts of fish. And of course they become his disciples, if you know that story. So Mason wrote a piece for Chanticleer, a 16-voice a cappella setting. Very difficult, very intricate setting. A few years ago, I commissioned Mason to rework the piece, and actually I got a chance to help him re-orchestrating the piece for an SATB, sort of more of a 4-part chorus and organ. Gives us a chance to once again use the great Koczmar organ and to introduce you to this phenomenal choral work of the composer Mason Bates. After intermission, the orchestra will be joined by choral art, our amazing choral compatriots, and also Stephanie Foley-Davis will be with us again to perform a work by Carl Jenkins called The Armed Man. I feel that this is a very fitting piece in a concert that salutes Leonard Bernstein. Soon after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, Leonard Bernstein gave one of the most important quotes that he ever gave. He said, "This will be our response to violence, to make music more passionately, more fervently than ever before." And this is what we want to do in response to our world at large. Carl Jenkins wrote a piece called The Armed Man. The Armed Man is based upon an early War of the Roses era French marching carol. And this marching carol, L'Homme Armé, the armed man, was sort of what they would use to march into battle. The music begins with the chorus singing The Armed Man, and then moves through, well, just a smorgasbord, if you will, of various approaches to the thought of war and, more importantly, the hope for peace. So, for example, there are elements of the Latin Mass. There is a Kyrie, there is an Agnus Dei, but there's also an Islamic call to prayer. There are poems that speak from firsthand accounts of people who were involved in war, and at the end, finally, there's this great celebratory and finally poignant and quiet a cappella chorale call for peace. One thing I believe maybe more than anything else is that the universal hope for no war and the universal hope for peace is nonpartisan, is non-political, and it's something that we can really explore beautifully in the music that we make. And so there you have it, a concert that certainly is steeped in a bit of spirituality, and frankly, I find that the two mix together in a way that you can't tell where one begins and one ends, artistry and spirituality, especially when the composers are so specific in their intention. Bernstein in his Symphony about the prophet Jeremiah, Mason Bates in his text from the book of Matthew, Carl Jenkins in bringing together a multiplicity of religious and spiritual and poetic voices to say, no more war, let us ring out the bells of peace.